Okay, we're good.
Okay, hello everybody. Well, Mr. Gallant, thank you so very much. Oh my goodness. How was the drive in?
Oh, it was fantastic.
Oh, yes, I love this. Oh my goodness. I just want to say thank you so very much and magical Momentum Monday to all of you who are joining us. Lena for Success. We have the privilege, and first I should tell you, my name is Tammy Williams, and I'm one of the executives here with Atlanta for Success. You're already a part of this group, but I just want you to know a little bit more that Atlanta for Success has you in mind. Now, in that, we have so many ways for people to participate with us. And right now, I have the privilege of actually getting to spend some time up close and personal, just like all of you, with one of our members. He has been a gifting sponsor to many of our online networking events. He is a mom. I'm no, sorry, mom. No, you're a mom. How
Well,
about that?
okay, sure.
I'm gonna call you a mompreneur, just like your wife. He is a father of twin boys. He's got a mompreneur wife. This gentleman has helped so many people in business all over the world. The accolades are so huge that if I actually talk a lot about it, you'll probably think it's not true. But at heart, I know it's hard, right? At heart, this is a gentleman. He's a CEO, first of all. Okay, anyone knows you don't get those initials lightly. The financial knowledge that he has, along with his financial education, says it all. But the biggest thing for us with Land for Success is we're all about serving individuals and helping them raise up. And what he has done with his own business, he's had so much success that he has decided to put his success aside so he can share with everybody who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur, who's in business, brick and mortar business, and online business, or even if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur or a business owner. He wants to share and help you to have the success that he has had. So, listen, you don't want to really hear from me. I'm going to pass over to you, Mr. Jean-Pierre Gallant, so you can just share with the good people. I mean, the outline says a lot. I'm sure people are wondering how we're going to be able to condense this in 30 minutes. We'll do our best to give you the main points of the beginning. It's just the beginning. We have 5 series in total, and you'll be able to reach out to him, and I'll let you know that later on. So, Mr. Gallant, please take over. Yes, yes, yes. We're so happy to have you. Can you feel my energy? I'm giving you a hug, giving you air hugs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that
Okay.
great introduction. So we'll start off. I'll start off with a PowerPoint presentation, and we'll get through that, and we'll be explaining. Uh, I'll be going through the presentation, and I just wanted to check. You see the screen there, Tammy? Is that
Yes, I
correct?
can see that. Yes, because we do have technical issues sometimes. So please bear with us, everybody. If you see a little bit of delay or something happening, we'll do our best to control what we can.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing I'd like to say is thank you very much to Landed for Success. And just a little promo here. Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., there's a free virtual event for Landed for Success. And that allows entrepreneurs to give a 30-second elevator pitch of your company, and it's free. It's a great networking event, and I recommend any of you that are entrepreneurs or thinking about being entrepreneurs to go directly to Landed for Success Facebook page and register, and hopefully we'll see you there. I'll be there as well as many other entrepreneurs. So to get started, as Tammy mentioned, this is a 5-part series, business success and profitability training. So this is applicable to anybody who has a small business, is a business owner, large corporations. Our firm does all sorts of consulting work. Mainly, our customers are large corporations that have over $1 billion, but this is applicable to any small business. And we also do small businesses and help small businesses. So this is a perfect opportunity for you to get some free training. At least you get the fundamentals of business risk. And as I mentioned earlier, all these components that we'll be going through in the 5-part series, the 5-part episode, is really things that we see that are very common as businesses grow in their lifetime. So it doesn't matter at what point these components, these fundamental issues that we see in large corporations that have been in existence for 25, 30 years, some public companies as well that have been around for 100 years. So we've done work in all sorts of companies, whether they're young or they have history. These are really fundamental things that we see continuously. So this is this episode is mainly will focus around business risks, and the things that we'll be talking about is kind of how to identify business risk, either if you're a sole proprietorship, just to think about the way that your personality is, and perhaps you'll see certain things that you're more conservative in, or areas where your risk is you have a high risk tolerance. So we'll just use a couple of very practical examples so that everybody kind of gets on board. So a little bit about the company: one-stop shop for business solutions, complete customized unique services. We've been in existence for about 5 years now. I have a lot of experience, 30 years in the financial service industry. And that's right, I started when I was 12 years old. So all the content in this presentation is protected under the Canadian Intellectual Property Copyright Act, registration 1168-379, created by myself, Pierre Gallant, exception of stock images and some photos. If you have any questions regarding our company, I suggest that you contact us on our website. It's a lot easier than sending emails because we'll get that directly to myself or to some of our employees. So please go to our website, CuServices.com, go to the contact page, write your name, email, phone number, address if you want, the subject, and a little bit about your company, and see how we could help. And we'll reach out to you almost immediately.
This is amazing. I'm sorry, I just have to get into it. This is amazing that you're offering this. Wow.
Thank you, Tammy. So who are we? Who are we, Tammy? We're complete customized unique services. Our philosophy is to have a team members that have a full understanding of your industry. So we travel light. So what that means is that when we get contracts, we have contacts from all over the world, and also in different disciplines and different industries. So what we make sure is when we do internal audits or we do consulting work, that we have a specialist in that area. Most of the jobs, I'm there on site with the team. I do a lot of the groundwork myself. It's not because I'm a control freak. It's just because I hold the relationship with the clients, and I want to make sure that everything is tailored to the particular client. So our aim is really to be your success and profitability partner. So as I mentioned, the founding partners, we've got what really gave us expertise is being commercial lenders and financial institutions for numbers of years. So we've seen small startups to seeding large companies, risk capital, etc. We also worked in compliance. I was compliance officer, was in charge of 5 provinces and a territory for a large financial institution. Also, I worked in internal auditor, where I was director of operations across Canada for a financial institution. And I also worked with regulators, and don't hold that against me. So
I like that you left that for the last.
Yes, exactly.
Don't hold that against you, and the regulator part. You didn't say that first.
Right, exactly.
So wait, let me check and see if we lost anybody. Oh no, they're still here.
All right. So we're talking about business risks. So non-traditional business risks. So what we need to look at in any company is kind of the culture of the company.
Yes.
So when there's too low risk appetite or risk tolerance that we call it, a business it can still survive, still make money, but it may struggle in the long run. If the risk tolerance is very high, it's almost like a gamble. So you may have the potential to do a lot of money, but you may have a high risk as well to lose that money. So what we're looking for is really a balance. So how do we do that? Let me explain this. So what's the definition of risk? So you'll note in the next couple of practical stories or practical examples that everyone has a different risk tolerance and a different perception of risk. So here's a story that I heard when I was a teenager and entering into a college. So I'm not sure if it was a urban legend or that it was an actual event. Nevertheless, I always thought of this very interesting story. So the story is there's an entrance exam for a private secondary school. It's in Montreal. The students were between 12 to 13 years old that are trying to get into this private college. Over a period of 5 weeks, there's 1,000 students that are attempting to pass the entrance exam and hope to be accepted into this college. But there's only 300 spots available.
Oh.
So in the 5th week, the only question on the entrance exam was, what is risk? So we called the student, it's a fictional name, Erica, which is the name of my wife, that Erica wrote these 2 words on the test paper. This is. So the answer to the question, what is risk? This is. She submitted her response and the examination paper to the supervisor and left the room. And she was accepted.
Oh, wow.
So what do you think about Erica's risk tolerance, Tammy?
Well, I know Erica personally, so
let's say that this is another Erica.
Oh, another Erica? Ask me the question again.
What do you think that Erica's risk tolerance was? Was it high risk to do that thing, or was it low risk?
I think it was low risk.
You think it was low risk?
Yeah. This is a trick question because I'm not really good with tests.
Well,
we have a little, you're really, really educated, but you and I spoken before about the learning ability.
All right. Well, I would say that it was pretty high risk to do such a thing because normally people will try to describe, they will use different types of scenarios, will write a story about it, but all she did was write, this is risk. And it actually, that's exactly right. What she did was very, very risky. So she just wrote 2 words on the exam paper, and then she left. So that I would consider that she has a very high risk tolerance.
Oh, okay, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, so she has a high risk tolerance because she answered that way, or
Yeah.
just because? Okay.
Yeah, because normally people will try, okay, well, what is risk? Risk is when you do this, they'll explain the consequences, a little bit of the history, what they perceive as risk.
Yes.
But what she actually did was the action of risk, right?
Well, see, I'm terrible with those kind of questions on the spot. Honestly, like, yeah. So kudos to her for that because I would be thinking, what do they want answered? What kind of answer? Like trying to kind of get ahead of it. So yeah, I would be terrible for that. Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, this was just a very original way of displaying the actual action of risk.
Mm-hmm.
So this
And you
also.
tricked me. You didn't tell me that I was going to be tested here live.
Oh,
So
I'm
I'm
so
going to get
sorry.
back to
I'm
you.
so
I'm
sorry.
going to get.
Should have given you
Oh,
the answers
oh, you're going to pay for
before.
this. Trust me.
But then the risk was that you got it wrong, Tammy. No, you didn't get it wrong. There's no right answer. There's no right answer. But everybody would have a different answer to
Yes.
risk. What is
Yeah.
risk? Okay, so when I was a teenager, I thought that this character or this person, Erica, did something really brilliant. But when I started specializing in risk management about 25 years ago, I started thinking maybe Erica didn't want to get accepted to that school for personal reasons. Either her friends didn't go to that college, or maybe she felt that her parents couldn't afford it. In which case she thought, well, you know what? I'll just write this, and I won't get accepted. I don't know if that was the case, but if it was the case, then her answer totally backfired, or her plan backfired. Either way, it's safe to say, Tammy, that she had a very high risk tolerance and risk appetite, as this was kind of a gamble, right? She
Yeah.
could have, I would say, 50% she could have gotten accepted, or 50% the person that was correcting the exam would have said, well, this is ridiculous, right?
Yes.
All right. So today in 2020, I ask you, or I ask myself,
Okay.
would you take the same risk as Erica took in 2020? So with all your experience and all, your life events, would you do what she did today? If you were, I don't know, applying to go to university for night courses and they had an entrance exam, personally, I would. And why would I today? I wouldn't have when I was 13 years old, because I was insecure. I had, I was dependent of my parents.
Yes.
But today, in my life experience, I have more confidence. I have less insecurities. I'm not dependent on my parents' approval, and I'm not concerned about what others think.
Yeah.
That's kind of a lie, but in general, I'm not too concerned about what other people think.
I like how you said that. In general, I'm not too concerned.
So let's think, what do you think that Erica's parents were doing as a living? So do you think that their parents were accountants, scientists? Were they in the entertainment industry? Were they bankers? Were they farmers? Or were they librarians? Well, what we know, I think most of us would be tempted and assume that they were in the entertainment industry. Why? Because it's, you're working contract by contract. The jobs are sometimes, very fruitful when you can get a contract, but
Yeah.
it's more risky as a term of employment, right?
Yes.
You never know when your next dollar is coming. So knowing only what Erica did on her entrance exam. So let's say that we take the individual that did that. Would you like to have Erica on your management team, or the board of directors of your company?
Yes.
Yeah, I would too. Probably, most probably, because she has a very innovative way of doing things.
Mhm.
Would you like to have Erica in charge of your income tax filing?
No.
No way, Jose. Because I hope she wouldn't be too creative, and I would be somewhere, a little bit concerned that she would maybe forget some things, and you don't want to mess around with the CRA when you get audited.
Oh gosh, yes.
Right. But would you like to have Erica as a salesperson?
Yes.
Absolutely. I want 20 of those.
Yes. I'll take 100 of her.
100 of her. I put 20, but we can have, 100 if you want. If you can find them, because they're very rare gems.
Yes.
So daily decisions measure risk based by temperament and your values. So most of us set our alarm clocks in the morning at a specific time to control when we should wake up. So we're not late for work or for an appointment. So is it risky to be late for work or work for an appointment? Well, it could be. If you're late for work, as an example, and your supervisor, you've been late before, you could be late for the most important meeting of the year. And since your employer or your supervisor has, mentioned it a couple of times, it could be, the time that it tips over to the risk maximum, her risk tolerancy. So in this example, you're so late, but the employee would say, yeah, but my work is always on time. Mm-hmm. So there's different perceptions of the risk. And I would tend to agree with the employee, but this is a kind of a generational gap here, because older generations, everything has to be on time. Like my generation, Gen Xers, and I'm right on the tip of the baby boomers, the end of the baby boomers. I have to be on time, and if I'm not on time, I get totally anxious. I have nightmares. I put on 5 alarms so I won't be late. But at the end of the day, if I'm working a 60-hour week, when I was an employee, I shouldn't have been so nervous about being late, because I was always working late.
Yes. And now for the person that's self-employed or a business owner, it's extremely risky as well to be late for a meeting, because you leave an impression sometimes to your person you're meeting that you're not really focused, you don't really plan well. But there's a lot of different things in that area too. Like you can sometimes lose the biggest deal of your life.
You're absolutely right. One thing that's interesting though, Tammy, I had an experience with a crowdfunding financial institution, fintech, a couple of months ago, right before the pandemic hit in February. So I went there, on time, dressed up with a suit and everything. Well, the average age of the employees there is in the mid-20s, early 20s to, late 20s. And everybody there was in t-shirt and jeans, and they were laid back, and so it's a very, you have to, like, we're always on. I mean, okay, I don't want to generalize, but
you're being recorded that you're always on time.
I am not. I will not say that. But generally, older generations are always on time, and there's a certain standard that we want to follow.
Yes.
However, the younger generations don't have, and it's not bad at all. Actually, it would be a lot better if everybody was more laid back. I was thinking of an example the other day. My kids wanted, because this is kind of a strange story, but they said, you know what, we don't like wearing the mask because then we smell our breaths. So my wife gave them some gum. So I gave them some gum while I was in the car, and I said, you know what, you can't have gum when you go to your classroom. And they're like, why? I said, I don't know, because when I was a kid, they used to take your gum, put it on your nose, and put you in the corner.
I heard about those things.
And then I thought about it, and I said, why was that way? Who cares if you chew gum? Actually, probably is better for learning because it relaxes you. But anyway, I digress. So we automatically measure risks internally by the consequences that we imagine.
Yes.
And probably that we estimate that it could occur. So when I was very nervous, as I mentioned, when I was working for big companies, to be late, to me, I could get fired. Mm-hmm. That was what I thought. And perhaps that was because of my father. I don't know. You had to be on time. He was always on time. It was very important to him.
Yeah.
But because it's not a science, we don't always accurately measure the consequences and final impacts because we're skewed by them, by our temperament and by our past experiences. So in this example, the supervisor says, well, you're fired because you're late. And then she said, the employee responds, well, thank you so much. You rule. And perhaps that employee is very, has different plans, wanted to go back to school, wanted to open her own business, but she seems to be, you know what, I can't work for you anymore because you're on a different page. So that's important too, to understand, your staff and your clients especially, because if your clients are younger mm-hmm. and you're an older generation, you have to take that into consideration. Demographic risk, we'll be seeing that a little bit later.
Oh, yes.
So essentially, we're creating limits on our personal tolerance and believe that everyone's limit is the same as ours. While it is impossible that two twins have the same risk tolerance. And believe me, as Tammy mentioned, I'm a dad of twins. So they have completely different personalities. They fit together well. They love each other. They hate each other. They love each other again, but they're totally different. I had one of the twins that was afraid of going on a swing. The other one wanted to go and, wanted the swing to go around the bar. Just very, very different temperaments. How about Charlie? So here's another example. So in our alarm clock example, if Erica's nature is being laid back and easygoing, she probably is never stressed out for being late for work. Mm-hmm. And doesn't even consider that it could be a consequence of losing her job. While Charlie, he suffers from anxiety as if he's 1 second late for work. And why? Because Saturday, the 9th of December, 1978, he woke up late to deliver his morning paper route because there was a power failure and his radio alarm clock didn't go off on time. So he was fired because 25 clients complained that they didn't get the Saturday comic strips on time for breakfast, and some had missed important TV shows because they didn't have the TV guide. Perhaps half of the population that are actually viewing this right now have no idea what we're talking about.
They're probably saying, did they say a radio clock? What is that?
Exactly. So, folks, for those that are a little bit younger, the Saturday newspaper was the most important of the week.
Yes.
It had the TV guide, so you knew what was on TV, if some of you know what a TV is. And you had your shows, you couldn't stream them, you couldn't watch them all the time, you couldn't repeat them. It was once a week. Thursday night at 8 o'clock, the Carol Burnett show. And if you missed it, you'd have to wait 20 years to see the repeats. Anyway, so what happened to our poor
They don't know what Carol Burnett's show is.
Okay. I don't know what else to say. A Facebook episode. It's not bad that you don't know this, by the way. It's perfectly natural. Additionally, he had friction with his high school sweetheart because he didn't have the money to buy her the Chic Le Freak 8-track tape for Christmas that he promised. So I won't get into that, but basically it was MP3 recording or music that was available on this huge thing that was really impractical and didn't last very long. So how about Charlie's dad? Well, lastly, Charlie's dad worked for the newspaper. So he was furious because he worked at printing machinist at the newspaper, and all of his friends razzed him about his son getting fired from the paper in 1978. So, that can have a huge impression on somebody's risk tolerance. So if we're looking at the same example, would you hire Charlie as a sales manager for your company, or would you put him in charge of sales?
Probably not.
Exactly. So defining risk, again, it's difficult to accurately define and measure business risk. However, being proactive and providing a proper assessment tailored for your business will help you mitigate the risk. So whether you're a CRO, Chief Risk Officer, of a large corporation designing ERMs, enterprise-wide risk management model, or a small business owner deciding if you will design a new product or launch a new product, management of board of directors should not only consider Erica's and Charlie's perspective, but also view the different line levels of the organization, and most importantly, specific to its external environment and challenges. So your clients, their perception, and the feedback. So as a new business owner, this information is really practical because you have to look at your own personality and see where your limits are. And if you're extremely, extremely conservative, then maybe, being a business owner is not for yourself. But look at myself. I was, growing up, my father was a banker for 45 years. When I was in the banking industry, I'd see these entrepreneurs and say, my God, they're ready to put up their wives in the kitchen sink for your collateral on this loan. And I couldn't fathom the idea of becoming a business owner. But, go down, 20 years later, and I think this is the greatest thing I've ever done, because I realized that it was very hard for me and my personality to work for somebody because I like to be in charge. Not with my wife, though. I respect her.
Yeah, that won't happen. Remember, I said mompreneur by accident to you, but that's because she was in my head. But you know what's interesting to me about this, Mr. Gallant, is that the risk assessment tool that you're shared with us here, it's not something that we get. I know lots of people, I don't remember anyone even, I've been to different business centers to start up a business, to find out what's the stages and the process I should go through. I don't remember anyone ever talking about, and this is a really fun example and fun stories here, on giving us risk analysis for business. So why do you think this part is missing? Because you said something at the end, which is really important, that it might not necessarily be for you based on your risk tolerance. How do we get this to be one of the first things after, I guess, they have their idea or their business plan, to make sure that they're led through the process properly? Because the sad reality is that what you just said about having a risk or not, some people won't know that they shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
So how do you get this out there to everybody before they even?
Yeah, I think the focus here, and we'll kind of go through this very quickly because I know there's not a lot of time left.
Okay.
But it's really to stop thinking about your product. Stop thinking about your product. Stop thinking about, oh, I'm going to put this on social media. We're gonna talk about marketing in the future. But this is really the foundation. So you got to figure out, okay, and we'll look at the next episode, tone at the top. So how, as a leader,
Yes.
you actually, communicate what you want to communicate. And you have to get, no matter, if you have a very strict personality or you're an old style manager, you have to keep your staff in the same generation. Otherwise, trying to, like, I had bosses, they would, I had bullies as bosses. Seriously, I had bullies as teachers. So I didn't want to become like that, but that's,
Yes.
if I had that, I would obey, rather than, accept. And a lot of the younger generations, which are smart, because you don't want to be treated like that, it's totally unacceptable. Today, what bosses did to me, I would be able to go to HR and get those people fired. But back then, that's the way it was, right?
Yeah.
So you want to look at your control environment before you look at your end-to-end process. So
Yes.
end-to-end process and monitoring. So this is really what we go through when we're hired as consultants. This is our whole process, and I won't go through it too much, but you see there's a lot of, planning, the risk assessment. We develop a tailored program for you, schedule employees. When we do any type of, mainly if we're going to do a strategic consulting gig, we will interview everybody in the organization at every level, right? Because we've gotten some great ideas. From example, when we're doing a financial institution, some tellers have such great ideas that we bring that to the top. And that's the way an organization should be. So what we do is we look at root cause analysis and the methodology. So in this example here, this was what actually happened to me. My car, this is in the 90s, I had trouble starting it, it would run a while and then it just stalled. It was a beautiful, I was single at the time. It was a beautiful Hyundai Tiburon SE blue, only 300 made. Anyway, I digress. It was a nice sports car. So it just kept on stalling. So I brought it to the mechanic. The mechanic said, well, something wrong with your spark plugs. Looked at that, didn't work. Brought it back to the mechanic. Said, well, maybe it's the pumps. Maybe it's the. Obviously, you know that I don't have that much experience in car engines when I'm saying pumps. But anyway, they were looking
at. You're a business doctor.
Yeah, I'm a business doctor. That's exactly what I am. So they were looking all around and they couldn't see anything. Well, finally, I started smelling gas in the car.
Oh, wow.
So what was happening is that there was a hole on the top of the gas tank. So it was keeping all the gas, so the combustion could go, but it couldn't continue to combust and continue to make the motor run. So often, like you said, Tammy, how come we don't know? How come we don't know? Because we always look at symptoms. We're always looking at diagnostic. Oh, well, the client's not happy. Well, it's their problem. Rather than looking at the root cause. So what we do when we do a full analysis, we look at the whole company and we look at your product, at the way that you're here's a little bit of, what's tailored risk approach is we're looking at governance, board or management or the business owner, the risk appetite and your tolerance. Before we look at your strategies, before we look at your business plan, before we look at your source of business and the start of the end-to-end product. Because risk appetite is really gonna set the tone for the type of business that you're going to get. And when you have a partner, so in my case, I had a partner who's now retired, but we were in different generations and different life stages, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he was more in retirement mode, and I'm still paying the mortgage, and the kids are driving me nuts.
And so, this could be a real challenge for lots of people because most people don't really care. Like, it's the client's problem, like we said. So when you have someone very service oriented who wants to go above and beyond what the status quo is in that company, and the company's all about the sales and the sales and sales, it really can tug at your heart on how you would actually be able to continue in that role. And even if you have business partners, because they want to see, the money there. So how do you actually coach somebody in that area? Because it's kind of leading to that. I know you're going to this here screen, but how do you actually deal with people who come to you with that? Like, they want to be a little bit more proactive with their clients and their customers. They still want to actually, get to that level. The risk tolerance they have is high, but how do you help them balance that? Because that's something like, I don't know, most people need to learn how to master that.
Yeah, well, that's, there's a two-part. If you're a smaller business, it's easy to identify and easy to talk about it, but everything has to be out in the open. And that's kind of like when we issue reports and presentations after we do our consulting work. Okay. We say, okay, this is how these are the facts, and this is how you're going to do it. Yeah. You have to think about, okay, well, what is the problem? So we didn't necessarily have a problem, my partner and I, but we had to recognize, and he recognized it very well. He says, you know what? I'm in retirement mode, so I want to take it easy. And I know that you got the kids and everything, you're like in the prime of your career. So, we had to balance that out. And you know what? We were a great combination, right? He had, more knowledge than I did, and I learned from him, and he was also learning from me, right? Because we bounce out ideas off each other, so we had a very good synergy. But that's important when you're, and a lot of what I'll show you in the next slide. So this is really your review of the end-to-end process, which is really what you're trying to sell. So if you have reliance on suppliers, which is another risk, operational risk, expense. If you're paying staff that is not in line with your values, then that's a huge risk. It doesn't matter if they're not that expensive, or expenses are fine, but do you have the right people in the right chairs? And obviously the monitoring, so review of the monitoring, but all that has to be aligned. So, you start off with the governance, you start off with different things. So here are common disruptive risks.
I should let you know, Mr. Gallant, you wanted me to keep time. We're at 1:45.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk really fast. So common disruptive risks, high risk can have a material impact on your business. Business culture is number one. Strategic risk. If you don't have good business culture, then strategic risk becomes an issue. Demographic risk. So again, is your product geared or targeting the right generation?
Yeah.
And internally, do you have the right mix? You have to have, a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Reputational risk. So, I worked in an organization where there was a privacy issue, and that we lost a lot of business. Reactive aftermarket risk. So that's really, what's going on today. If you were not online,
oh boy,
the pandemic hit, you're nowhere. Retail is really suffering. Could give you examples of Amazon and what they're doing and how it will be in 5 years. It's incredible. So business culture, you have to have good synergy, everybody working together towards the same target. Business culture is the foundation of your business. Too many businesses focus on their products or service without working on the business culture. It's a foundation. So if you have one partner who's made out of steel, the other one made out of wood, the other one made out of sand, it's not going to work. You wouldn't build a house that way. Why are you building a business that way?
Wow.
Staff, management, and the board of directors have to have the same objective. Otherwise, your strategic risks, there's no teamwork. No one's hitting the target. Everybody's got their own idea. This I see almost in every organization that we look at. We have this issue, and it's just a matter of communication.
Mm-hmm.
The staff are told what to do. Management has these financial objectives. The board of directors have oversight, and they're out of the business, but they're thinking different things are going on. So
yes.
a lot of disconnection. Demographic risk, very, very important. Gen Zs, they're entering the market now. They're fascinating people, so incredibly diverse and quick. Millennials, incredible people that, they have very different. I took this out because for me, this was really, giving details about how millennials and Gen Zers are different. So than my generation, which is the one before millennials. So they don't just work for a paycheck; they want a purpose. I never thought of a purpose. I just wanted a paycheck. They don't want bosses; they want coaches.
But our purpose was to feed our kids.
Exactly.
That was enough purpose for us, and to help mom and dad.
Yeah, they don't want bosses; they want coaches. Well, without a boss, I was lost. They don't want annual reviews; they want ongoing conversations. Brilliant,
oh my gosh.
Of course. They don't want to fix their weaknesses; they want to develop their strength. Brilliant, absolutely. Why not? They have a collaborative mentality where everyone pitches in and work together. Oh my God, if my generation would have done that, we'd be eons, evolved. It's not just their job, it's their life. Absolutely, you spend so much time there. What's interesting though, and I don't want to get into it too much, Gen Z resembles more Gen X, like my generation, than millennials. So maybe we'll have to fix that. So strategic risk, reputational risk can destroy your business. Absolutely. If you sell, if you're in a restaurant, you sell something that is either past due or, by mistake is not good, my God, it will destroy you. Reacting to market doesn't work anymore. You used to be able to do that. Look at the Bay, or I shouldn't say the Bay, but how about Sears? I mean, they were trying to adapt, trying to catch up, they never could, right?
No.
That's an old model. Being proactive keeps you in the game. So again, and I apologize for taking more time than
no, that's okay. I was mostly concerned about your time because you're so busy. But so many points here to take. The thing about the risk at the end. Can you go back to the slide? Can you go back to the last slide there? Reputational risk can destroy your business. In the world of business, they say that something to the effect that bad news spreads quicker than good news. And almost statistically, it's out there that for every one person that says a concern, something has come up that brings, basically brings to your attention. Some people like to call it a complaint, but I just say a concern. You have probably 10 to 15 that experience something very similar and they don't say anything and they walk away. So when someone does bring up a situation like this, it's so important to address it properly so you can reduce your reputational risk. Not that you're going to satisfy everybody, but some action item has to be done. And then moving to the reacting to the market. I'm from the publishing field where we used to publish 2 magazines. One was going 9 issues a year, print. Another one was doing 6 issues a year, and we used to do 12 technical handbooks a year. So I seen firsthand the company that I worked for, brilliant man, started the business at his kitchen table, in Durham, and a great niche market. Oh my goodness, he made a lot of money. We helped him make a lot of money. and wasn't quick enough to adapt to how the world was changing, how they look for information. So we didn't even take, I was only, I was working there, so it wasn't my company, but we didn't actually capitalize on the whole, I guess you can say, the demographics and the actual circulation, and turn them over into digital readers quick enough for it to be sustainable. Because here I'm selling an outside back cover ad for $3,000. So when it went digital, I was selling it for $750.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that right there, I witnessed it myself. Honestly, like we have to be proactive. I'm not sure what has to take place for people to realize this to stay in the game. So I'm glad you're bringing this up. What's our next segment that we're going to be doing next week?
Next one is Tone at the Top, and that'll be the 27th of September. And that's at noon, same time. And hopefully we'll see you guys there. And
yeah, give the people a little snippet of what that's going to be up, because I love the title.
Sure thing. So establishing a balance between your personal values and your business company values. So
wow.
How do you balance that? As well, the relationship with your suppliers and your clients. Mm-hmm. Implement values in your strategic plan via HR and future staffing. How do you keep, like I said before, right? If you have a dinosaur approach, then hire dinosaurs and make sure that your clients are dinosaurs. But that may not work for very long until we get.
Make sure your clients. So what?
Until the ice age arrives, right?
So how would I call an ad in that respect, Pierre? Only this is for dinosaurs only.
No. But what I'm trying to say is that if your product or service is for a young crowd, then keep your staff young.
You have to know your audience. It's
always good to have a balance.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, you know what? I learned so much from younger people, younger generations.
Yes.
And they are brilliant. And you know what? They keep me real. They keep the pulse going. Because unfortunately, Tammy, and you know as well as I do, I'm not saying that you're probably a lot younger than I am, but
yes, I am.
We were brought up in like a very strict environment, and we have a lot of like wearing a hat in a restaurant. I mean, to me, oh my God, really? You're wearing a hat in a restaurant? But at the end of the day, why? Why would I care? Everybody wears a hat in a restaurant. I don't wear a hat in an elevator. But it's just some stupid rule that I was given as a child. And I don't know, like.
My grandpa did the same thing, but to me, what he taught me was a sign of respect to taking it off.
Right, exactly. You take it off, right? You don't wear that. So when I see people, in their 30s, 40s, and in a restaurant and have their hat. I say, well, that's not right. But then you have to think about it. Why isn't it not right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore, right? It's like, there's tons of professionals there that don't wear a suit. That's fine. But me, I feel that I have to, this is my mask, right? I get the other mask, but I have to wear this in order to work. Otherwise, I feel like, well, I'm at home or watching the hockey game, it's just, it's things that we were taught, and, we have to be open, right?
Yes.
Open to new things.
That's amazing. Thank you so very much. Oh my goodness. You and I can talk forever, and we do. Yes. So we should probably let everybody else go and finish their lunch if they were, we want to say thank you for joining us. If you are going to catch us on the replay, we just want to say thank you for that. If you want to hear more and meet Mr. Gallant, please come to our next networking event. It is actually this Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We have limited spaces because it's online virtual, and once we reach the numbers, it will be at full capacity, and we won't be able to allow anyone else to enter it. and you're going to be at home. You're going to get to meet and hear some of the co-authors. You're going to hear from some of the gifting sponsors, and you get a chance to promote your business for free. I mean, oh, wait, and there's prizes. So I don't know about you, but look, if you're in business or you're thinking about being in business or you know someone that has a business that's looking for a place to network, Landed for Success is a place to be. Pierre, you've been to many of our events. You love
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's what got you to this place.
You know what? There's no other place. Make a lot of contacts there. It's really a great opportunity for you. And again, it's free, and you can win some stuff. And it's not like there's no pressure. Just prepare your 30-second elevator pitch, because I've been cut off many times because I talk too much again. But
you're learning. Don't you find that great? You're learning.
You know, sometimes I just, okay, you know what? Just call the number. But you know, that's very important. And then it actually helps you, because when you meet somebody, well, hopefully, you know, when this virus thing is over, if you recognize somebody with their masks that are very influential, you can talk to them and say, hey, this is what I do, you know, and it practices you. It gives you some training on how to be quick and present your business so that you can network. And networking.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about the 30-second elevator pitch, you can use that now, because we're in a social media world. And I'm not sure if you guys are experiencing this, but I am having conversation with people on social media. The question, what do you do for a living? Sometimes you look at it and the answer is a full page. So, you know, I don't know about you, but I would not be reading a book unless it was through Kindle or something.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
The 30-second elevator pitch will help you even with your small little communications that end up being really big, that turn into a phone conversation or email. So it's really great experience for sure. So go to www.landedforsuccess.com/events and register and check out the members that are in there, so you can see what they're doing and who some of our members are, as well as read some of the blogs, and come out and meet Pierre, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds
Beautiful.
good.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Talk to you later, Pierre.